Triumph 2000 Mark 1, this 2-litre engine, absolutely lovely. We all know it's been painted. The interior is so original. It's got power steering. It's manual, which is nice. Got an issue there. I'm led to believe that it's come in with an excessively high reserve.
9 to 10, I think.
Ooh, no, nothing like. 5 to 6 would be absolutely ideal, something on that sort of line, and I think it can be improved upon, but that's no problem. That can be done very easily.
We really like the Triumph too, so we'll follow Derek's advice and pile in.
1969 Triumph 2000 now. Wants buying this car. G-Reg, as you can see.
So it's got to start low.
Dead straight motor, smells nice inside. Whereabouts then? Start me on it. 5, 5, 5, 2, 5, 4, 5, 6, 5,600. 5,600.
This is about right.
And then 5,006. £5,600. 5,800. 5,800. 5,800. Selling provisionally. 5,800. Are you all done? 5,800 for the first, second, third, and last time. 58
Provisional. Good.
Given that our bid was more than £3,000 below the asking price, we did have to go to 6,500, but still not bad. As for who's doing the work, we've decided to send the car to Tim Willis in Darlington. Triumphs are in his blood.
My dad always loved classic cars. I've got some fond memories of being in a little Spitfire when I was a kid.
Tim's maintained and restored classics for nearly 25 years, but Triumphs have always been the mainstay of his business.
A good one, you take it down the road and you come back with a big smile on your face. And other classic cars, you can't always say that of.
But how much will he be smiling after he's given ours the once-over?
That's a nice looking car, isn't it? Which is a lovely colour. All Triumphs had this really nice sort of wood veneer dashboard, and, you know, this has got leather tops to the seats, which is really nice, although they do need bringing back to life somehow.
Tim likes an early test drive.
I can hear the engine quite clearly. There's something missing. The squeaky steering, but it's pulling okay.
But then more of whatever was missing went missing.
It's over there, it broke down. It didn't want to go backwards, and it stopped, and it's clearly not charging.
A quick jump start and we were off back to the workshop and on to the dreaded lift. As always, we've got everything crossed for a clean bill of health underneath.
It's had brakes done. Looks like it's maybe had a replacement steering rack, stainless steel exhaust, and it all seems to be covered in some kind of a coating. It's not paint, but it's a good sign. We've got a nice oil leak there from the differential, but there's no serious corrosion to speak of down this end. OK, we've got a bit. So we didn't quite escape, but that's a small hole. It's quite a nice car, isn't it?
So we've done good.
I think you've done good, yeah. I think you've done all right.
Back in Darlington, Tim is about to start work on our surprisingly rust-free Triumph 2000. First up, the engine.
So we're going to do a compression test, because while we were out on road tests, as it warmed up, it started to feel a little bit unhappy with itself. So we'll just pop these off. The nasty old plug leads, we'll just get rid of those to one side. And we'll take the plugs out. It's nice to see they haven't been fitted by a gorilla.
The point of this test is to see if there's a tight seal between the 6 cylinders and pistons. Combustion engines rely on a change in pressure to suck the air and fuel in and push the exhaust out.
We're looking for a minimum 120 psi. Below 100, it's dead. 165, super duper.
The others were good too.
160 on that one, 170.
So the solution turns out to be a bit of basic maintenance.
Tuning. So almost certainly carburetors, ignition, a combination of the two, and it'll be lovely.
This is all good, because it allowed us to just concentrate on improving the engine. First, Tim reduced the chances of any further roadside embarrassment.
We had a breakdown because no charging, so we've got new battery, new alternator, and some wiring issues, which were actually, I think, the main root of the problem.
Then we addressed an issue that keeps classic owners awake at night.
It may be worth considering doing an unleaded conversion on it, just to give the next owner confidence in knowing that he can drive it anywhere and he doesn't need to worry about a thing.
Cars like our Triumph, made before 1989, relied on the lead in petrol to lubricate the exhaust and inlet valves. No lead can result in the valve seats wearing, causing the valves to stick. The conversion involves replacing the valve seats on the cylinder head with stronger metal. The other problem is that unleaded fuel contains ethanol. It makes for cleaner engines, but it can damage old rubber pipes, so we'll be addressing both of these issues. Our cylinder head, which has been running with unleaded fuel,
There we go.
will be sent off to a specialist, and it looks like the same can be said for the seats. Tim has reached a verdict.
I'm always loath to get rid of old sort of patinated leather, but I think this has just gone too far. Base comes out very easily. We'll take all the leather bits to a nice friendly trimmer and can hopefully make it look like new again.
This is a clean car, but in the past, removing interiors has allowed Tim to unearth some rare artifacts.
Rotting fruit, sweets, congealed into the carpets, moths, maggots, you name it, there's all kinds of stuff.
These were when car seats were chairs.
Yeah. Going somewhere was an event, and if the car was marketed as being comfortable and a sort of executive saloon or luxury saloon, that's exactly what you got, really. If we can turn that interior into a beautiful interior, that's going to be super, isn't it?
With all that removed, Tim can now concentrate on the stuff that needs doing underneath.
We're going to take the differential, the crossmember and the rear subframe out, and then we can deal with the oil leak from the differential.
This is the box of cogs on the rear axle that provides power to the wheels, but also allows them to rotate independently when you go round a corner. Getting all these components off makes another job easier.
We can have a look at just how bad these two patches of welding are to do on the rear of the sill area. The plan is I'm going to poke away at it, cut away the rusty metal, and when that big hole is just a hole in nice clean metal, the job doesn't look nearly so bad. It's just a case of fabricating a few new pieces, welding them in, a bit of paint, a bit of seam sealer, and we're done.
In Darlington, it's full steam ahead with our 1969 Triumph 2000. Tim's been busy since we were last here.
Done a whole lot of welding repairs to the rear and the underside. Completely refurbished all the suspension. It's all like brand new under there, better than brand new, in fact.
But there's still something missing under the bonnet.
We've taken the cylinder head off to do an unleaded petrol conversion on it. That's all ready now, all the work's been done. We've just got to finish the assembly on that and then put all the carburetors and stuff back on it and get it fired up again and running.
Before that, though, we get to reinstall the refurbished seats. Completely recovered in new leather, they'll be one of the first things a prospective buyer will see, so we think it was worth the extra expense.
Looks gorgeous in there now. Really lifted this car. Leg room, talk about comfort, that's that seat right back. Even a lot of big cars, you don't get that much. So this is our cylinder head. This is the combustion chamber. This is where the valves go. This is where we put the insert for the valve to sit on. That's our inlet valve, and that's our exhaust valve. The seat, this bit here, that's a hardened steel insert.
And with that, Tim gets to reward himself for all the hard work.
Once you start reassembling, that's easy and it's really enjoyable. The new head gasket, the head. They're not like those. Gravity helps. Nuts and washers. water pump on, fan belt on. So the carburetors have all been completely stripped and refurbished, and also this troublesome little water connection here. It's always corroded and breaks. There we go.
New hoses, coolant, oil and spark plugs, and we're ready for a start. Tim is confident.
It'll be fine. It's not firing, probably just because plug leads aren't on in the right place.
The spark would be trying to ignite the air-fuel mixture at the wrong time in the cylinders.
Let's try that.
Not that then. But further investigation points to another culprit.
I don't think I've got fuel in one of the carburetors, so it's possible the little valve is stuck.
Time for some analogue treatment.
I'll just try giving it a little clonk, see if that can wake it up. There we go. Brilliant. Yeah, really good. That's what we wanted.
And with that very pleasant sound ringing in our ears, after 2 months in the workshop, we're all done, apart from a bit of polishing.
These things take time, so yeah, it's worth it, isn't it?
Definitely worth it in terms of preservation. Financially, well, that's a world apart. All in, to buy our luxury Triumph was £7,085. Labour set us back £7,980. Parts came in at £3,810. And the seat re-trimming was £1,560, bringing the total to a slightly uncomfortable £20,435.
She's a beauty, isn't she? Tan interior, as you can see. People open the door and it smells right and looks nice, you're halfway there, simple as that. Got the door fitting nice. The door was awful, wasn't it? It was really, really a shocking fit. Nice, it's lovely, isn't it? Beautiful car.
But importantly, how does it drive?
Sweet as a nut. Made a nice job of the engine, set that up well, haven't they? Overall, you've turned out a really nice, smart, well-presented, very saleable car.
Gearbox is nice and precise. Look at that, what a smooth overdrive operation that is. Fantastic.
Overdrive engages a higher ratio gear, allowing cruising at lower revs.
Lovely, lovely engine. But you can tell I'm a fan, and I just love them to bits, don't I?
The Triumph 2000 here. This is a cracker. Started with a nice car and made it even nicer. Now I've got a lot of bids here, go right away up to £9,250. At £9,250. 9.5. £10,000 says Andy's phone there at £10,000. £11,000, fresh bid. £11,000 we have. Gonna bring it down to £11,000 provisional. £11,000 provisional.
Not a great result financially, but there was a small consolation. Derek negotiated an extra £1,000 on the sale price with the new owner after agreeing to deliver the Triumph in person and buy him a pint.